live. So, hello to all you patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 412 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada, recorded December 11th, 2023.
We need your help to support the Canadian Patriot Podcast. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $24.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
Excellent. That brings us to our favorite segment of the show. I don't know if it's your favorite segment. I know it's your favorite segment, Pierre, but the listeners, your favorite segment. I hope it is, though, because this is where most of the hilarious banter comes out. But yes, we are at What Are We Drinking? So, Pierre, what are you drinking?
I've got a little bit of whiskey left from my pre-show shenanigans, and then I'm on the brandy again this week. Still got the bottle from when we moved in, so I've been keeping it for the Monday nights. Enjoy a little bit. As for podcast challenge, drinking my waters, pretty good. Hoping to get into reading more, at least more audibles. I would prefer hard books, but trying to get more, less entertainment from useless, even podcasts that I listen to, and more informatives. So maybe a little more information dense, especially for some long travels.
Oh, hold on. It looks like we are not streaming live. Well, I need to fix that. It is on private.
Yeah, I'm watching the live.
Are you? Oh. On mine, it says private.
Yeah, cpp412. I mean, I'm watching us. I'm not even signed in on the YouTubes on this computer.
All right, no, it said private online. Never mind. Carry on then. Carry on.
Yeah, so just trying to get more information and useful knowledge, listening in more than the stupid brain stuff. And then yeah, still learning the homeowner reno stuff. I still really hate drywall.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Like, I have no motivation to do it. Thankfully, Mel has picked up the slack a little bit on that and started getting some mudding done, so we can start getting the closets set up, so we can start living out of closets instead of boxes. So slowly getting there. Should be good by Christmas, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, I'll pray for a Christmas miracle for you to get it all done. Yeah, there you go. Now it looks like we've got 5 people watching and everything is good. Sorry about interrupting you earlier. For some strange reason, it was telling me that it was private, and yeah, it looks like we're good. So hello, all you listeners out there. I'm drinking the Crown and Cherry Pepsi Zero again this evening. I still had some left over, although I did finish my bottle of whiskey, so I need to go and get another one for next week. But Patriot Challenge things, did my readings, did my water drinking. I did not do my exercise today. I was supposed to, but we pulled the plug on that one last minute, and I ended up sleeping in instead of getting up early. You got to prioritize that sleep. But yeah, I also finished up with little trim carpentry I had left, but my knees and back hurt now from all of that, because that's the worst, especially when you're just like on hard floor cutting pieces of wood and kind of like going back and forth between the saw and the thing, because you're like, I'd cut a piece and fit it and cut a piece and fit it, and yeah.
Trim work can be annoying, especially if you're trying to mitigate where you make the vest.
Yeah,
so much
well, there
easier
was
to have the
definitely
saw
some of
next
that.
to
There
you.
was, well, it was like I thought I had went and bought enough baseboards and quarter round to do it, and then it was like, shit. Like, I'm sitting there looking what I have left, and it was like, we're gonna be short like
one piece.
Yeah, and it was like, it's not even that, it's just like one small section, but I just wouldn't have enough. So now I have to go and buy. It worked out because I ended up making a mistake, and like, even though I measured twice and cut once, I guess I measured twice wrong and ended up being short. So luckily we had extra, so like everything worked out fine and it's done and it's no longer my problem. But Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate all of that stuff. At
Yeah.
least, yeah, it's less messy than the drywalling, but it's still a
Oh,
pain in the ass.
yeah.
But yes, we'd love to hear your feedback about the show. So please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We haven't had like a listener mail show in a while because we haven't had listener mail. Um, so send us some mail. We'll read it.
Yep.
We'll maybe make fun of it. Maybe we'll agree with you. Who knows?
Maybe we'll disagree, but at least it'll be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Before we get into the news articles, just a couple of quick funny things. So first, apparently we got, well, it's not a strike against us, but apparently one of our episodes from the beginning of the pandemic um,
Yeah.
has been pulled from the YouTubes. Like I could look and see which one it is, but it's one of the first ones where we had Richard on and we were talking about like the OIC when that first happened and the beginning of COVID and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's been pulled because apparently we have been spreading misinformation. I mean, it's weird that it has taken them like 3
3 years.
plus years to
Yeah.
figure out that we have been spreading misinformation. Not that they'll tell us what we said was wrong, but apparently we've been spreading misinformation. So anyone looking for the back catalog on the YouTubes is probably not going to see that episode.
It's
And
two
who knows?
seventy eight.
278. There you
Yeah,
go.
278.
Uh,
That's the one that was apparently pulled.
yeah. So yeah. Also funny. Apparently, the government website where the tender for the gun buyback is out has been. I don't know if it was hacked or if people were just putting funny company names in as fake bids. But there are a number of companies, some of which I can't read on air,
No.
that were added to the list. One of them is Canada is a shithole country, LLC.
We can't say the one under that.
Yeah, I can't say the one under that. The other one is Gross. Then
Yeah.
there's a Thug Hunters Incorporated. And then yeah, I'm just not going to read the other ones.
Yeah, no. But
Yeah,
quite funny.
but for those of you that yeah have a good sense of humor, go check that out. It is hilarious when um, that happens. Oh, there's a couple other ones that Tracy posted where it was oh, what is it here? I'm reading Fire Trudeau LLC.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun when the government gets trolled.
Yes.
Speaking of the government, the federal government is set to announce the details on its dental insurance plan. This is a big one here. So the federal government hopes to avoid gumming up the works of its new dental insurance plan by gradually phasing in enrollment over the course of the next year. I'm not the one that made that pun. That is a direct quote from the article
Yes.
on CP24. They didn't even bother to put it into quotations so that you could tell that we were making a pun.
Yeah.
But apparently, seniors over the age of 87 will be the first cohort to be able to apply to join a new federal dental insurance plan. Um, it will slowly expand over the course of 2024, which to me, that doesn't sound like it will be expanding slowly. That sounds like
Yeah.
they will expanding it rapidly over the course of a year
Yeah.
uh, to include all qualifying seniors, children under the age of 18, and people with disabilities. So that sounds like a whole lot of people. Holland, so Mark Holland, the MP there in Ajax, the one that called all of us gun owners thugs, announced that the rollout for the program, which is currently budgeted to cost 13 billion over the next 5 years, billion,
Billy.
billion, $13 billion to cover people's dental stuff. Um, The program is aimed at people with an annual household income under $90,000 who don't have access to private insurance.
So people that already don't work for a living.
Well, I mean, like I would say that in this day and age, most people that have any sort of reasonable job
Yeah,
have some sort of health benefits.
yeah. Like even if you work at like McDonald's,
Yeah.
like they have dental healthcare. It's pretty much once you get a certain amount of people working, like you have to offer benefits. It may not be good benefits, um,
Well,
but I have a feeling it's going to cost a lot less than 13 billion due
well,
to
exactly.
taxes that are going to get tacked on to how much we're going to pay. And our household will not be eligible for two
Yeah.
reasons. We have really good private insurance, and the household income is over 90,000. So it's like I'm paying for this because taxes are going to go up and everything,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be able to utilize any of this. So like, can
Well,
I opt out?
exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, no. You won't be able to opt out. Unless you go and find a lower paying job that doesn't offer you private insurance, then yes, at least you could you'd probably opt out because you wouldn't be paying as much in tax or maybe any in tax, and
Yeah,
you would also reap the benefits of having this dental program. But I mean, yeah, we have a dental program. I mean, they're all pretty much the same. You
yeah.
know, some are a little bit better than others, but like I don't know. I was pretty sure that there were already programs that you could utilize to do this
Yeah.
stuff, but I
I mean,
guess not. I don't
like
know. I because I
children
haven't
under
had
18.
to.
No, but I mean, like they do have the program at least. If you can't afford to go for a checkup or whatever, they had it at my daughter's school. I think it was
Yeah,
before
like
the
the
COVIDs. But yeah, like
dental
someone will come in.
college and
Yeah, they'll come in and like they'll take a look and just be like, at least give you an update, just being like, brush your teeth a little bit better. You're pretty good. Or, hey, you're going to have some issues, maybe a
yeah.
few cavities if you don't take care of it, which is, automatically like there's nothing I hate more than going to the dentist. When I chipped the tooth and I called and they squeezed me in real quick. And I'm like, how much is it going to be? And they're like, yeah, we'll see. I'm like, the fuck you mean? Yeah, we'll see. Like, it's a tooth. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have a ballpark. Like, you can't tell me, give or
Well, and
take,
this
300 and up. And then when it was all said and done, they're like, yeah, you got to pay now. And it's like $700. I was like, it's fucking
uh,
$700 like for the half hour of work. And so, I mean, I already got my issues because it's ridiculous.
oh, I have massive issues with the dental industry. Like, okay, I understand that they go to like dental school and spend a whole lot of money and time to get the skill. So I don't have a problem with them getting paid.
Yeah, I
I have
don't
a
either.
problem with the way that like they do the insurance thing and it's not like a set fee.
Yeah,
Like I mean the dental college puts out a fee guide and does all the like that stuff that they're supposed to use, but like the annoying part is that like they know your insurance policy better than you do
yeah,
and they
and they
know
know
all of them.
that. Oh, your
So
company is gonna pay this much, so that's what you're getting billed.
yeah,
Yeah, you're
and
you're way
like
better off.
some of them will be happy to bill you less if you're paying out of pocket, which
Yeah,
is the thing that's frustrating because it's like, well, but isn't that the price then? Like, why do
yeah,
I have to pay more? Because like ultimately, you know, when the person's using insurance, they don't really care because it doesn't really affect them much. Like their insurance might go up, but it'll go up a couple of bucks or whatever. But like
yeah,
the company, if the company's paying a good chunk of the portion, which is usually what happens, it's like 80
yep,
20 or like, you know, you have to pay something or it's considered a taxable benefit,
yep,
but the company gets screwed. Like, and
yep,
they start paying. And like that's what's happened to sort of my business is that like over the years we've kind of had to unfortunately take some things out of our like compensation package because it was just starting to get too expensive.
yep. Right, and a lot of people won't see it from that point of view because they don't understand that. They're like, yeah,
But
but I'm paying for it, and they don't understand the concept that you're not paying for all of it. And the
yeah,
problem, like you're way better off. Get a new dentist,
well,
eye doctor, like all the places, and don't tell them you have insurance. Pay for everything, and then submit the receipts yourself.
yeah, you will
Um,
get a better price. And
yeah,
that's my problem with the industry is that
yeah,
it doesn't seem to like despite the fact that it seems to be highly regulated, it also in some ways does not seem to be regulated at all.
no,
But that's just my problem with it. But apparently, the coverage will include preventative, diagnostic, restorative, and surgical services. So all of your checkups, your cleanings, your, why does this hurt? Also includes X-rays, which I know is one thing that dentists love to throw on to everything because that's
Oh,
like
yes.
$100 right there.
Yep.
Uh, Fillings, root canal treatments, and dentures and all kinds of stuff. Apparently, once eligibility is expanded to all qualifying Canadian residents in 2025, it will be the government's largest social program.
Social list or
Yes, yes. So
yeah.
that means that this is going to be bigger than like unemployment and
Yeah.
all of those other
Government
programs.
assistance. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
all the things. And
but yeah,
like,
yeah, the insurance plan is a key pillar in the Liberals' supply and confidence deal with the NDPs to secure opposition party support on key votes. So it'll be interesting to see when this comes through whether the NDP continue to prop up the Liberals or not. Because this was their big thing, right? It was
yeah,
like,
this
we'll
was a
prop you
big
up, but
thing.
you have to make this happen.
Yeah.
Once that happens, like, did they start to get like, well, we got our win and we made the Liberals do this, and now we can
Yeah.
start to like rock the boat a little bit, right?
Yeah, and it's not only going to be that. It's like, hey, look, like you want us to keep supporting. What's the next program they want to put forward?
Oh, yeah.
What's next on the socialist agenda
Well,
after
I'm
that,
sure
that
universal basic income.
right? Like everybody gets 2 grand extra a
Yeah.
month, but your cucumbers cost you two
Yeah,
grand.
except that it's going to cost me 3 grand to get the 2 grand, probably.
Yeah, right. So it's that's where we start getting in this slippery slope because it's like, yeah, either the NDP is just going to be like, well, we got what we want. You're on your own. Make us another offer, or I find they're going to push for something else, and then it's
Yeah.
just going to start going down that slippery slope of what's the next tax thing and
Yeah.
screwness of yeah.
I don't know. I Well, on to the next ridiculousness that has to do with government and also in the healthcare related field.
Yes.
So, grieving family speaks out after BC cancer patient awaiting treatment chooses maids, which, for those that don't know, medically assisted in dying or medical assistance in dying. So,
Yep.
Kathleen Carmichael from BC says that the healthcare system let her family down. Her partner, Dan Quayle, not the one that invented the internet, opted for medically assisted death. It was a choice he made after waiting for chemotherapy and treatment that didn't come fast enough. So, more ways that the medical system has let people down. The oncologist would come in and say, we're pretty backlogged right now, so hang in there. I'm assuming this has nothing to do with all of the things that were canceled during COVID and pushed everybody's surgeries and, diagnostic stuff and all of that stuff back. It probably had nothing to do with that all. Um, yes, this gentleman in question ran out of time. He was 52 years old, and he's a grandfather who was described as jolly, big-hearted, and playful. He died on November 24th. So he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer months after first feeling ill.
Yeah.
And so while he was waiting, his health continued to decline. And so he made the difficult choice. Apparently, this is all happening right around the time as the numbers are being reported on radiation therapy, and they reveal that only 75% of patients in BC are receiving the recommended treatment within their 28-day benchmark, which is lower than it was in May by 2%, where apparently the province started sending patients to the US for radiation due to long waits in BC. So we're taking our socialized healthcare and outsourcing it
To a privatized
to a
healthcare.
privatized one because they can get it done faster than we can.
Yeah.
If that's not telling you your system is broken and theirs is better, I don't know what is. Like,
Yeah. I feel I should have the option to have privatized or socialized.
yeah, it would be nice to be able to opt in or opt out,
Yeah.
and then live with your choice one way or the other.
Yep. Yeah.
But
Yeah. I'd
yeah,
be down for that.
yeah, apparently the province has hired 61 oncologists and 27 radiation therapists since April. And the health minister says those waiting longer than the benchmark for radiation are being prioritized. Those numbers, the people waiting 28 days, are going to fall because there are fewer people now on the wait list. Now, is that because some of them have also taken the same route, or has the
Yeah.
cancer just got to them, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you wait
I mean,
long enough, there's nobody on the wait list, but not because they're getting better.
yeah. I mean, we're dealing with that. Uh, took 7 months to get an MRI, and then took a month to get the readings back to figure out the diagnosis. And now I believe it's a year wait before we can speak to whether it's a person to take medication or a person to do surgery
That is insane.
for a condition that is could deteriorate pretty fast. Knock on wood,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen, but it's just, so like all in all, we're talking 18, 19 months. And to meet the threshold of, getting that MRI is
Yeah.
baffling in
Well, and
Canada.
that's the thing. It's like, so okay, you at least know what's going on right now.
Yeah.
That's half the thing. But to go from what's going, like, knowing what's going on
Yeah.
to getting treatment, like, it doesn't really matter what you have. It's going to, like, even if it's not a condition that deteriorates, your quality of life between then, like,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
going to be reduced.
Yeah.
And
Right.
most things, if you don't do anything, will get worse to some degree.
Yeah.
So people are, like, suffering, and, like, it's insane. Like,
Yeah. So, and I mean, to start with, like, the threshold should have been met a while ago to get the MRI to start with, but because
yeah,
because here it's government funded and we pay taxes, right? There's I guess you could say, like, a questionnaire to fill out. If you don't hit all five of these criterias, or you're not getting,
yeah, you
set
don't get to
scan,
the,
or you don't get to whatever needs to be done. You have 4 out of the 5. Well, you're almost there. So let's wait till you have the fifth one, and then we'll push you through. And then, if we would have caught this earlier,
yeah.
you wouldn't be so
Well,
far along and all that. But
and that's the problem with a lot of
yeah,
things, is that, like, because they do get worse over time, the sooner you can catch things, the better
yeah,
off you are, especially when it comes to cancer,
yeah,
right? Like, there's a lot of them that are like, if we get this early, we can absolutely do
yeah,
something about this. But
yeah, 100%. And I mean, just trying to go see your family doctor is almost a nightmare. So it's like, imagine trying to get, you know, you're
yeah,
feeling ill and try and get, to talk to someone to get whatever tests to find out it is cancer, right? You almost need to be to the point where, it's already risky enough, to get treatment before someone will take you seriously, or you get in that pipeline of trying to figure out and get better and everything. And it's,
well,
it's, it's just embarrassing.
and, like, I get that, like, you have to do a certain amount of triage and deciding, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's not just like a first come first serve thing when you're dealing with medical stuff, because it's entirely possible that somebody comes in that is like,
Yeah.
I need this now. But if
Yeah.
they start bumping these people that have been waiting a long time to the front of the line, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying they shouldn't, that moves the people that are at the front of the line now back.
Back.
And then the people at the middle of the line now become the back of the line. And there's a ripple effect that
Yeah.
goes on throughout the whole thing. So,
And
like,
then eventually the people on that list end up being
Get
to the point where
bumped.
now they need to get bumped up because they've waited so
Yeah.
long for treatment. And yeah, I'm not saying we should just do whatever. And I don't know
But
exactly how to fix it other than like hey, I want an MRI. It's $1,000, and
well,
I give
I
you a
guess
thousand
like
dollars.
just
Like,
sending them to the States and get your
yeah,
OHIP to somehow pay for it in the States or whatever your
yeah, yeah,
BC insurance is. But like I,
right.
it just seems insane.
Yeah, and it's not the first time I hear of people that have issues where nobody's doing anything, nobody's answering questions, where they take a trip to the States and they said, hey, they're not
Yeah.
listening. This is what we have. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we're looking to get. And, they're down there for a few days and, yes, it cost them quite a bit of money. But at least they got answers and they've got a plan going forward. And then when they get back, their doctor's all shocked and they're like, oh, you did what? Like, oh my gosh, look at all this. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been telling you that there's been an issue. I don't meet the certain threshold for certain things. So I went and I spent my hard-earned money in another country, even though I already
Well,
paid for the
exactly.
service
And
here.
that's like
Yeah.
exactly what sort of happened with my mother. So many years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer, and they're like, well, the wait time is like months, like months and
Yeah.
months and months. And she's like, well, but like, you told me that like
So,
if I like we're lucky in that we caught it early, and that like my outlook is good if we start treatment. They're like, yeah, but like we're
we're
backlogged,
not. Yeah.
right? And she's like, okay, but like we need to start the treatment. They're like, I
Yeah.
know. So she's like, okay, I guess like call me or whatever. So fortunately, like my parents had a condo in Florida at the time. And so they went down to the condo and went and saw a doctor there. And, he did a bunch of extra tests and everything. And then like, luckily we didn't have to go that route because Ontario called and were like, yeah, so we can see you now. I guess we bumped you into a program that starts like, like next week or whatever.
Yeah.
So we were lucky in that we didn't have to go that route, but we were fortunate in that we had the ability to go that
Yeah.
route if we needed to. And like, in talking with my mother, like the difference between the US and Canada was like night and day.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
you could easily just yeah, they were very happy to um send all of the reports and the tests and everything and do all of the things, no questions, because like they were getting paid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You pretty much walk in. It's like, what do you want? Like, I think that test is useless, but it's going to cost you $500. And they're like, well, I read a Google article that I think I should need it. They're like, unless it jeopardizes your health or can cause major severe side effects for certain something else, like they'll just be like, yeah, sure, here's the debit machine, write us a check, and here you go. You can go on your merry way to get whatever you need done. So I'm hoping we can get
well,
to that point.
well, I guess some sort of good news in this next one. Some. Um, Here's how much more it's expected to cost to feed the family of four in Canada's next year. So in 2022, a report estimated the overall food price increase would be between 5 to 7%. The latest data from Statistics Canada pegs the inflation rate at 5.9. So it's good that we were on the low end of that.
I mean, we were almost halfway with, like, we were
Yeah.
almost at the 50% of the guess.
Yeah.
Between 5 and 7,
Yeah.
we're almost 6.
Yeah. In the latest edition of this annual report, the authors believe the overall rate of inflation will be lower in 2024, falling somewhere between 2.5% and 4.5%. So the good news is that, like, while the cost of things will be rising, they won't be rising as drastically as they have been.
Yeah, and they also haven't taken into consideration the new tax bracket for the $30 billion, the
Yeah,
dental thing. So your dollar,
yeah. It's
your
saving
hours,
you money right there. Yeah.
yeah,
According to one of the people, things are much calmer now, which could result in more deals and potentially some price wars between the big grocers. margins are going to be everything, he said. For those that don't know, margin is the profit that you make on top of the cost, right?
Yeah.
So he said that, and because consumers don't have any money now, grocers will be fighting for our business. So over the next year, they believe that grocery stores will be offering more incentives to consumers, like loyalty programs and deals to entice people. One of the tactics used is selling items at a loss. So for those that have done any sort of marketing, that's called a loss leader, which brings the customer through the grocer's doors, but then the store would increase the price of other items. So you pick a popular item that everybody uses and you sell it for a very low price,
Yeah.
sometimes even at a loss.
Yeah.
But then you jack the price of everything else in the store up just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to offset the loss on the one item.
Yeah.
Or you bring them in to like, oh, we've got like super cheap cans of
And soup.
RC cola, and then you magically run out of RC cola almost instantly,
Yeah.
and then all you have left is the premium stuff.
Yeah.
And so like it's the old bait and switch, right? Like you get them in to go buy the cheap thing, but then you screw them on the other. So like I don't know what this guy is thinking here when he thinks that that's going to help us, because it's like the one item brings us in, but then they jack the price of everything else up. That's not saving us money.
No, but
That's still
yeah,
increasing the cost of groceries by 2.5 to 4.5%.
right. And I mean, I try and be as savvy as I can with every dollar I spend to bring food in this house. You know, make sure it's food that's gonna last, food that's good for us. And
Yeah.
you know, I've gone to a store, like a regular grocery store. I'm a big Costco man. Love going to Costco as much as I mean, I hate going to Costco
Oh,
because there's a lot of people.
the
But
deals are hard to beat, but it
yeah,
is like the scum of the earth that are in there. I cannot
yeah,
stand
yeah.
that place.
No,
Oh,
and you know, I'm fortunate where I tend to go when it's not that busy because I'm off on a weekday. I
I
work
have
a
not
weekend.
found one near me that is not busy. That's the problem.
Yeah. But I've gone where I'm like, I don't want to go all the way out there. I'm going there in a day or two, so I'll just go pick up these 3, 4 things that we need for supper and like lunches tomorrow and supper until I get home tomorrow. And then you walk in and you grab a few things and you walk out and you're like, how in the fuck did that cost me $70? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't, and the portions, the quality, um, you know,
Oh,
it's scary. Like, yeah, the price is right, but bring something home and it doesn't last 2 days in your fridge. You're like, no, was it worth saving that $1.50 or $2? Like now I got to go back and I'm
yeah.
throwing out half the food. Now I'm buying twice as much. That I only saved $1.50, but now I'm spent an extra
That
$4 to make it last 3 days.
Yeah, that
It's
is the one thing I find annoying. Like, so for certain things that you use a lot and go through a lot, Costco is great for it. But like,
yeah,
it's annoying in that I have to buy such a large volume of something to get a good per unit price. But
yeah,
then I end up spending like per unit, I'm spending less money. But overall, when I go grocery shopping, I'm spending more money because I have to buy like a month supply of something at a
yeah,
time rather than a week something. But if
yeah.
you can manage to get over that first hurdle
Hurdle,
there,
yeah,
that first month,
yeah,
then it balances out and it's fine. You just have to budget for a month's worth of groceries rather than a week's worth of groceries at a
yeah,
time. But like, I don't
yeah.
know, like
And
something has got to stop with this inflation. Like this is just getting insane. And I know that like they think that the grocery stores are being greedy and all of that, but like it's not. Like, I mean, they're not any more greedy than any other company out there.
no,
Like they need to make money, and I'm sure there's some things that they could do to make things cost less, but like most of this is inflation problems, which is directly related to the government and the government just pissing away your money.
yeah.
Like
Like if it costs a
13 billion
store,
dollars on dental.
yeah, you're gonna
Where
need
does that
dental if
money
we
come
can't
from?
afford food.
Yeah.
Can't get
Yeah.
nutrients. We're all gonna
Yeah.
need it.
My teeth are great for chomping on those carrots, but I can't afford carrots now.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, if the store jacks up the price of cucumbers or um, chicken or whatever, it's in most cases they have a profit margin of let's just say 10%, right? after they take
Yeah.
into consideration everything. So if, you know, gas goes up, minimum wage goes up, and now all the vehicles and the people filling up the trucks and the people unloading the trucks, their cost went up and now their profit margin is, 1%. They're going to have to jack up the price of everything 9%
Yeah.
to still say, above like the overhang of the buildings,
Yeah.
if
It's all
power goes
relative,
out,
right?
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all relative, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, we can all say they're getting greedy, but I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah. I mean, we just
like,
went to the grocery store the other day and their freezers crashed. Like we were in there like 2 days before picking something up, and then we're like, oh, we wanted to get some of that keto ice cream. And we saw that they had a whole like section of freezers full of it. Go
yeah,
in there 2 days later, all the freezers are empty.
yep,
So like apparently they broke and it's like they had to take a hit on that. So they have to cover themselves on that. Like they have
yep,
insurance and stuff, but again, as we talked about earlier, insurance is a scam.
yeah,
And like they can either just eat that or they can put an insurance claim in and they'll decide which is cheaper. But either way, it costs them, right? They're either paying the
yeah,
insurance or they're paying to eat it. They need that. And if the cost of the item has gone up,
yep,
so does the insurance and everything else. Like when I do my annual renewal for my insurance, they ask me, so how much inventory am I carrying? What is the cost of my building and all of those things? And then that dictates the rate that I pay
yep,
for the year. So if I carry more inventory in dollars, then my insurance is going to be higher because if the building sets on fire, it's going to cost me more to replace it.
yeah, yeah,
So
and yeah, it's
yeah,
just crazy that everybody will blame someone else without looking at the facts that 90% of all this is
yeah,
related to everybody wants to make $20 an hour, but nobody wants to work for it. And
yeah,
if everybody makes $20 an hour, including that person that stands there and stacks the bananas, and is they're only making 15 now, well, every hour
yeah,
those people work, that's extra cost. And I mean, if they start losing money, there's not going to be any grocery stores because they're all going to go
yeah,
get bankrupt if they can't stay afloat at bare minimum, right? They're going to shut the doors, and then you got a giant building, and how many people out of work?
yeah.
No,
And I mean, I'd
nothing.
love to support the local mom and pop stores and all that, but like they don't have the buying power that the big guys do and everything else. And
Yeah,
it's a lot harder for them to sell for the price that those big box guys do. So as things get more expensive,
yep,
those are the
it's
guys that have more bargaining power there for the buying and all that. So like it's going to just push people towards that, but that's just
yeah,
unfortunately how economics work.
yeah,
But one thing that will help save you some money here. One thing. It's a little sad, but apparently the death toll rises to 5 in cantaloupe salmonella outbreak. So 5 people have died in a salmonella outbreak linked to Malakita and Ruby brand cantaloupe sold in 6 provinces. So don't eat cantaloupe. Don't go and buy it at the grocery store. Save your money. There you go.
yeah.
Saving you money right there by not having to buy cantaloupe.
Well, fuck,
Uh,
a cantaloupe's what, $6 now? Six,
I
seven
don't know.
bucks?
I don't eat that shit because like no one has died from bacon. I've never once seen an article from this that said someone has died from eating a steak or bacon,
No,
but
it's
it's
always the
always like
salads.
lettuce, tomatoes, and now, yeah,
Yeah,
cantaloupes. Uh, Public Health Agency of Canada says 129 people have been confirmed with salmonella linked to the outbreak, almost double the number at the last update on December 1st, when a single death had been recorded. Uh, there are also 17 cases in Ontario, 15 in British Columbia, and 2 each in Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick and Newfoundland and Labrador. The agency says that 45% of those who became ill were age 65 and older, while more than a third were children 5 and younger. So if you're in those vulnerable groups, definitely don't buy cantaloupe.
yeah,
Um, People become sick between mid-October and mid-November, and 44 have been hospitalized. An interesting thing that I did not know, people who have been infected with salmonella bacteria can spread salmonella to other people several days to several weeks after they have become infected, whether they are symptomatic or not. So it's kind of like COVID. You may or you may not have it, and you may or you may not pass it on to somebody else for some specified period of time.
Yeah. So I'm curious if
For Google, that is called a joke. That is not medical information. Well, the part about being able to spread salmonella is, and that's true. You can. The other part there is a joke. I'm not serious about that. I'm just making a funny.
allegedly.
Don't don't pull this episode from that comment. Wait till later in the episode when we do talk about COVID stuff to
Yes.
pull it. But yeah, don't eat cantaloupes. Save yourself some money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to make light of things because people have died, but also that's kind of what we do. Yeah. On to a little bit more serious note. A widow takes Ontario police to court over declaration misconduct in her husband's death was not serious. Quotes there on the not serious. So a grieving widow is taking the OPP to court as she challenges its decision to call the misconduct of an officer that contributed to her husband's death not of a serious nature, a decision that denied her access to a public hearing in the case. So it sounds like there was an OPP car that was speeding and crashed into her husband and killed her husband. So obviously an investigation happened, as one should, when somebody dies while the police are in the process of conducting their business.
Yep.
Especially when someone who is completely unrelated and doesn't deserve it dies, they should absolutely be investigating that. But it seems that the misconduct is deemed a not of a serious nature, despite the fact that somebody died. It is not of a serious nature, which then, because they have deemed it that, there is no public hearing, meaning that like it doesn't go before a court that we can all hear. It is just done internally amongst themselves. So this lady doesn't even really get to hear why it happened or how it happened or anything. Like no questions are to be asked. It's just, nope, wasn't serious. Carry on.
Yeah.
So CTV News has done an investigation that shows that the OPP has declared misconduct by its own officers not serious about 80% of the time in the last 5 years, and sends identical paragraphs that don't explain its reasoning in cases from neglect of duty to unlawful use of force. That's worrying.
Yeah. Unlawful use of force. Yeah, I'm very more curious on the neglect of duty.
Well, that means that like if a cop saw someone beating the crap out of you and didn't do anything to stop it, and you got seriously hurt or died or whatever,
Yeah.
they're like, that's a problem. That's kind of their job to serve and protect.
Yeah.
Right. The protect part being, I guess, the second part, but to me, they're equally important, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they serve us by protecting us. So like kind of a big part of the deal.
Yeah. But also you don't want to be hurt because the cop beat the shit out of you, right?
Yeah,
Like,
which is all like those
like
are the
that's
two things where it's like,
yeah.
So I'm not so much worried about like lawful use of force, right?
Yeah.
If it's lawful, it means that you were like resisting to a certain degree, and
Yeah.
they met that with the appropriate level of force.
Yeah.
That would be making it lawful. Unlawful means they went above and beyond what is required,
Two.
and it's still called unlawful, but
Yeah.
not to the point where it is serious in nature, because it is still decided to be not serious in nature. So no public inquiry needs to happen. And the fact
Yeah.
that they are investigating themselves to determine that is the scary part.
Yeah, that's like I don't know if there's a way to get around that. Like even even if we were to make it a third party investigation, I still wouldn't trust it because I have no faith that anything cannot be corrupted.
Well, yeah, and this is the thing. So, I mean, like we've said many times before, it's not so much that we have an issue with the individual police officers,
Yeah,
right? Unless they're shitty people, but like that's because they're shitty people, not because they're cops. But
yeah,
this clearly shows that like the
yeah. There's
institution of policing at that level, so the OPP as an organization
yeah,
has some massive problems. The fact that 80% of those are not serious in nature and no public inquiry is required or done
yeah,
is really troubling, especially when, like I said, they're neglect of duty or unlawful use of force.
yeah,
And
and
then they just send you like a copy and paste of the same letter that everyone else gets. They don't even bother to take the time to be like wording it to your specific instance to
yeah,
explain anything.
right, and I'm not gonna deny the fact that some people um, would file a case of unlawful use of force
Yeah.
just because they're complete douchebags and
Hmm.
they got what they deserved, but they're trying to get a payday out of it, and the neglect of
Well,
duty. Some people's interpretation of what the cops should be able to do and everything may not line up with what the actual laws are. So I will
yeah.
say that there's probably quite a bit of that where it's people being
Oh, for
misinformed
sure.
or not having all the facts and filing these cases or
I'm
something.
sure, yeah, there are some people that are trying to change that. But I mean, in this particular example, they couldn't
Yeah,
even be bothered to say, like, we're sorry, you
yeah,
know, in in the course of the officer executing his duty,
yeah.
he was required to drive at an like excessive speed in order to do something, right? Like there's no
Hmm.
explanation. It's just, yep,
Yeah,
we have decided that this is not serious in nature. Thank you for
yeah,
your time. Like
yeah,
it's so
yeah,
impersonal. Like there's no like at least if they
yeah,
had taken some time to like be understanding and maybe try to explain, although there's no real good explanation, but at least to do something.
yeah. For all you know, this guy was the police officer in question at this point was driving to get something to where someone was in need of
Yeah,
assistance in something, and the lights were on, lights weren't on. He thought everything was good, and like accidents
yeah,
happen, and
absolutely.
not by uh,
But like you still
not
need it,
not
like you're still
yeah,
accountable, right?
yeah, and whatever you could say like, hey, look, it's unfortunate it happened. Even
Yeah,
if you follow all the protocols, right? Like he
yeah,
executed everything perfectly. Just stuff can still happen. So it's like, look, like
yeah.
he technically didn't do anything wrong from the standpoint of the
But it
steps he's
still
supposed to
happened
take to
and
get
we're
there.
very
Yeah,
sorry. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like if
Like
you're
that would be
chasing
way better.
someone in your car because you have to, right?
Yeah,
And it's wet and you go and take a corner too fast
yeah,
and you skid out and you hit somebody or something, like those things happen, right? Like,
yeah,
you can have all the training in the world to do all of the
yeah,
things, and you like there's some variable you can't account for that would cause
yeah,
this to happen.
yeah,
But you still need to be accountable for it. And just
yeah.
going and wiping
We're
your
good.
hands
Yeah,
of it is just like, nah,
yeah.
that's
It's
the
all good.
part
Don't worry.
that's
Yeah,
worrying, right? And if they're
absolutely.
able to do that on anything, oh, that's scary. I don't like that at all.
No.
More bullshit though, where people just decide that they can do whatever they want to do.
Mm.
A BC doctor was fired for refusing COVID-19 shot. They appealed this and they have lost their bid to get the hospital privileges back. Um, so Dr. Teresa, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that S, um, was fired from Royal Inland Hospital in Kamloops in 2021. So they refused to get their COVID-19 shots for the reason of they didn't trust that
Just
it was an experimental vaccine. And that's in the article, Google. That's in the article.
we should just send the
Read,
show notes to Google.
read it. So the hospital had the policy at the time of you need to have your shots or you can't work for the hospital. So I guess they suspended her at the time and then eventually fired them after a period, or no, I think they fired them to begin with. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
So the hospital appeal board that they went to be like
You were wrong.
I exercised my charter rights. You can't fire me for this.
Yeah.
Has decided that not getting the shot amounted to neglect of her obligations as a hospitalist at Royal Inland Hospital, and the decision to take action on her privileges was appropriate. So basically, they didn't revoke her ability to practice medicine, but they have revoked her privileges to practice medicine at that particular hospital.
Yeah. Think about the
Uh,
service you get if we make an unvaxxed hospital where all those doctors can get a job.
yeah.
I'm down.
So the doctor in question says that the hospital is required to respect her exercise of her charter rights, and that the appeal board was wrong in its November 20th decision.
Yeah.
The implication is that in order to respect her decision, the hospital must not take any steps that hold the applicant, so the doctor, accountable for the consequences of that decision. Having the right to make a decision and your rights to do so acknowledged or respected is not the same as being held responsible for the consequences. In other words, the decision says that the hospital didn't challenge her right to refuse the vaccine, but it did hold her accountable for the fact that the choice left her unable to work. So that's their way of saying, like, we didn't tell you that you had to or that you didn't, and we respect your
Yep.
ability to not do it, but we're still saying that you have to do the thing to work here. So like we didn't put a gun to your head, kind of much like everything else, where it's like, well, we didn't force you
To pay
to get
taxes.
it, but if you want to go and eat in a restaurant, you're going to have to do the thing. Oh, you want to get on a plane? You're going to have to do the thing.
Yeah.
So we didn't do that. We respected your rights in that, like,
yeah,
we didn't make you do it,
but we also didn't allow you to do certain things due to you not complying and everything.
And now that the mandate is gone, they're not reinstating her. They're going, nah, you're fired, you're terminated. No, we're going to uphold that.
Yeah, we're going to find it as a lawful dismissal. And now we are not obligated to do. I have a feeling that's probably gonna. I don't know how long she worked there. I don't know if it mentions it in the article. When I glanced through it, I didn't notice it. But like, so wouldn't that potentially affect her RRSP contributions?
Yeah,
Like
I believe she was brand new at this particular hospital, like right at the time that COVID was hitting. Okay. She's now found work elsewhere at a different hospital and things are fine. So like, aside from not being able to work during COVID, they haven't really been, I guess, hampered by their personal choices, which is great.
Yeah.
But
happy they were able to stick by what they felt was right.
And, well, exactly. I mean, and like, yeah. It's just insane. Like, it just shows like the craziness of it all, where it was like, well, we're not going to make you. And it's like, yeah, but you are coercing me strongly into doing the thing that you want me to do. And you're telling me that you are respecting my rights. And like,
you're telling me it's my choice.
You are. But also, like
No.
in a practical sense,
Yeah.
you're not. Like it's not, you're not letting me accept the consequences of like, well, if you get sick, that's you
Yeah.
dealing with the consequence, right? Like
Yeah.
if you
And
don't
I
get
mean,
the thing and you get the COVIDs, that's the consequence of you not getting vaccinated. Although you still get COVID even if you're vaccinated 12 times. But I'm
but yeah, but I am curious, like, would that have affected, RSP contributions if she had been there for years and this, that? Um, I, I,
well, I mean, I
I mean,
guess while they're not getting paid, they wouldn't have been able to make RSP contributions. So yes.
but
I mean,
being dismissed like that, does it nil and void the company contributions that, I mean, I'm sure a doctor, right? Like you contribute so
yeah.
much, the hospital will contribute so much.
Well,
Would
yeah,
that
it
have
should
voided all that,
normally
right?
that would have been done at the time that you receive your paycheck. So potentially, yes. So you're double losing in that one in that you're not getting paid, so your percentage isn't being put to your RSPs. And if your company matches it, that would not be put towards them either. So while you're suspended without pay, they're not matching it. Like, why would they do that? And if they outright fired her, she doesn't even work for them anymore. So I
Yeah, no,
mean,
but but I mean, like some companies, like you have to be there for so long and contributions
well,
and this,
yeah,
that. Like, can they, you know what I mean? Like, here's your money back, but even though you've been here for 10 years and we've contributed this much into it, because of the terms of this contract and how she got
no, they
dismissed of it.
can't like claw that back and be like,
No, okay.
no,
I
like
wasn't
what?
sure if that's a thing or not because I'm not
No,
that smart.
once they give that to you, it's yours to do with as you please.
Okay,
Uh,
so happy to hear
but
that at least
it does affect it in that
for
she didn't
2 3
get
years. Yeah, she
she
wasn't
didn't
able
get
to do that.
money and she wasn't able to get matched contributions if that was a thing that they did, which
Yeah,
I imagine that they did, and I imagine that they also had like dental and all of those things. So she definitely would not be able to. Well, maybe for that period of time she would have been able to opt into this new dental program, but not now. Now that she's working as a doctor again, because they definitely make over 90,000 and have healthcare benefits. But yeah, it's just nonsense though that they're continuing to
yeah,
push this thing where they're trying to still tell us that well we had a choice, like we respected your choice. It's like,
yeah,
well, no, because you kind of called us names and treated us like shit and like as second class
yeah.
citizens for the entirety of it. And now
Right.
you want us to forgive you for the way that you acted, and you're trying to make
Yeah,
it look like it was, well, we respected your choice. No, you didn't.
yeah. Right. And it's funny when you talk to certain people about certain things. Like we had Mel and our daughter had a doctor's appointment a little while ago. Mel had some questions about the new news and having to wait and
Oh yeah.
everything about something that we were planning for the January that can't be done now. But she's like, hey, you know what? I haven't seen you in a while. Like, come in, we'll talk about it. And it's our
Yeah.
family doctor, so the daughter. And she's like, you know what? I haven't seen her, so bring her in, and we'll do like a checkup on her and everything.
Yeah.
And then she, when they got there, I didn't go in the room. I was like, you guys are good. Like, have at her. I'll keep playing the game on my phone. And the doctor was
Yeah.
just like, oh, but like we haven't seen her in like 4 years. I'm like, well, because of the COVIDs, I was like, you guys didn't really take people. I'm like, she was good. I'm like, she's all
Yeah.
up on those, uh, you know, uh, vaccines that actually kind of work. So we were like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
And then, so she started asking questions like, how were you guys? Like, did you guys get affected? And I'm like, nope, like not much changed for us. I did not lose any work. I was very fortunate. We were very, very fortunate for that. Oh, did you guys get sick? And I'm like, not to our knowledge, like none of us in this household
Yeah.
got COVID. I mean, we might have felt a little shitty for a day or two, where if I took a test, it might came out positive, but I was like, I'm not
Yeah, but you could have
traveling,
also felt fine and took it.
right? Like exactly. So I'm like, to,
Uh,
to the best of our knowledge, like I've never had a positive, but I've also never had a negative because I never bothered
yeah.
with it. I was like, for
Yeah.
my work, I was like, I pretty much work by myself. I'm like, if I felt like crap, I was, oh, they're just stay home, and it's like you wake up fine the next day. You just needed some extra sleep, or you drank too much on a
Yeah,
Monday night doing a podcast, and you felt like crap the next
that
morning.
never happens. Yeah, that never happens.
So I didn't have any mandatory testing before work and all that stuff. So I'm like, and it almost seemed like it shocked her that like to our knowledge, no. I'm like, we
Yeah,
might have had it because we had the sniffles for 2 days. And, you get a cold chill and you drink some soup and sleep and bundle up and sweat it out, take a shower and like sleep with extra blankets, and then like 2 days later you're fine. So I'm like, if you would have taken a test, it might have said yes. But I'm like, we didn't bother.
yeah,
I was like, because we pretty much
didn't need to.
self isolate all the time, anyways. Um,
Yeah,
but
didn't need to. Like,
yeah, it's so yeah, it's just funny that people are almost surprised and shocked when you tell them certain information. They're like, "Oh, really? Like, I that's good for you guys." And this, and I'm like, it was just funny because I was like, I wish I could have seen her face. Apparently, she was
yeah.
very surprised. And I'm just like, yeah, like,
What? You survived the season of death?
yeah, right. Like all of us, we haven't been there in years. Actually, it was funny when I went to I had to get a medical to upgrade my license. I had to go get like this weird physical, and I had to like walk on the room on your heels and like do a squat and like read the eye chart. And she was like, "Are you actually one of my patients?" I was like, "Well, I wouldn't have been able to get an appointment with you if I wasn't. But like I don't go to the doctor's often and everything." And I'm like, the
Yeah.
last time I was here, I was like, I was in that room there, and I was like, you guys were cutting a tick out of my back because I went bear hunting, in the spring. So I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. I was like, yeah. And she's like, how long ago was that? I was like, 2 years. I'm like, and that was
Yeah.
like 2 years ago. So I'm like, I haven't seen her in like 5, 6 years, and it's just,
Like I was the same. Like I don't go to the doctor if I'm not like if I feel fine, I'm not going. I only go when
yeah,
something bugs me. Like,
yeah,
I mean, as I'm
right,
getting older, I'm doing the preventative thing more, but like when you're young and healthy, like you don't worry about that shit. You just you go
yeah.
and live your life and then you're like,
And
ah,
then you pay for it when you're at your age.
yeah, where everything hurts all of the time. Yeah, and you're like, fuck, I should have gone to the doctor more. But,
Yeah.
then you got to wait like 6 months to talk to somebody.
So at that point, you're going to be your age anyways, right? Like,
Hmm.
even if you try and do it early.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
not like it was that much better when I was younger. Like you still had to fucking wait forever to go see anybody about anything.
Yeah.
Like,
It's crazy. It's madness. I mean, it's the cards we're dealt being here in clown world. Not much we can
yeah.
do about it. But eating good, getting some exercise,
Yeah. Do the things that
learning.
we tell
Yeah,
you to do. Yeah.
yeah. And trust me, I'm the last person that follows that like a religious book. I need to do a lot more of the the things that we mentioned and say to do. I'm probably one of the worst ones that do the podcast for not following it, but we're slowly
Eh,
getting there. Once we get some renos finished and moved in, we do have a plan forward for all of us, as a family, try and get a little bit better at things. And
it's
we'll see.
it's hard. I mean, like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always a lot easier to say than it is to do, and you just gotta just do it,
Yeah.
as Nike says. But that's not always easy. Life gets in the way, and
Yeah.
the bed is warm and cozy, and the alcohol tastes good, and
Yeah.
so does food. And the
Yeah.
worse the food is for you, the better it tastes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah. Well, um, I guess we'll close it out on that. Here, when you're not on the show, where can people find you or purchase fine swag?
Fine swag. We are half-assed opened back up. Off the wall customizing on all the socialist medias. I think those are still going. I don't do that. Off the wall customizing at Gmail, or you can find me on Sunday nights where I'm a little more toned down and talk about why you should carry certain things with you for
A
reasons
little bit
on.
more toned down. I thought I saw that last night's episode of the other CVP was getting the explicit rating.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's just because I said a swear word right off the get go.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so on the other CPP Canadian Patriot podcast on Sunday nights to try and be there to discuss just like we do tonight and what you should do to prepare yourself for what we talk on Monday nights and how the $13 billion is going to get spent.
Okay, sweet. You can find me personally on Instagram, UrbexGTA. You can also find me at ragnaroktactical.ca. And if you've listened to the show this long, you definitely deserve a discount. So use the code Patriot at checkout for a discount for all of your Yule gifts that you're going to send people, because that is quickly approaching us.
Yes.
Um, I guess it also looks like with the strike against us, maybe this is why I was confused earlier in that like it seems to not be allowing comments and all of the things on our videos now. So maybe there were some consequences of us sharing
Oh, people are
things,
in the chat.
but are they? Well, I'm not
Yeah.
seeing anything. Maybe it's just my screen that's all screwed up.
Yeah, no, so when I started the video started and then it said this video was unavailable. I refreshed the page and everything's there.
Well, I
So
can't really refresh it
Nick and
because it'll
Chris,
screw it up. But
yeah. But
well, there you go.
people are
I
chatting.
haven't been neglecting you on purpose this week. I have just been neglecting you because I haven't seen it. Although I did get a message from Chris on Gilded. So that's also a reminder that we are on Gilded, and possibly looking for other places to stream the podcast because the YouTube is not being all that friendly to us. But yeah, I guess apologies to Rod. Rod couldn't make it. He was also dealing with some nonsense with the government, um, as he does from time to time. But he assures us that like he will definitely be on for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the 25th, I believe, is the Monday. He assures us that he will definitely be on 100%. Whether we have a show or not that night, I don't know. Probably not, but he assures us that he will be on. So it might be just a solo Rod show. Just tune in and find out, or don't.
That's
Spend time with your family, drink too much eggnog, do all of those things. Have fun, you know,
yep.
whatevs. But, and remember, you are a small fringe minority with unacceptable views.